Hey everyone, we're going to discuss your week 3 discussion because there's a couple of things in here that can be a little confusing to students. So I want to make sure that you're successful and that you understand completely how to complete this discussion post. So when you go to Module 3, or you can access, by the discussions, either way, you will land on 3-1 discussion, and it's talking about completing a lab worksheet first. And you're going to use that lab worksheet to kind of help you review, or it's going to help you see how specific things can impact groundwater movement. And then when you get done with that lab worksheet, you're going to review the Clean Water Act and the Safe Drinking Water Act in order to help you answer some of these discussion questions. So here's the thing. This lab worksheet is not something that you have to submit with this assignment. So if we click on this worksheet, it goes to this paper, and it gives you kind of a little bit of background information, and you'll want to review these resources here to help you with the discussion questions. The EPA reports are really good as well, especially the non-point source pollution page, because there's two types of water pollution. There's point source pollution, where somebody is like knowingly and actively dumping a specific substance into the water. So like that would be somebody who took like a barrel of toxic chemicals and poured it into a water source. That's point source pollution. Non-point source pollution is pollution that happens from runoff. So like, let's say somebody left a lot of fertilizer sitting out on their land, and it rains, and that fertilizer runs off into the waterway. That, that's not somebody intentionally dumping. It's just runoff from whenever it rains, and that is not well regulated. So okay, what is this lab that we are talking about here? So this is a simulator, and it gives you directions on how to run this simulator, but I'm gonna help you with it as well. So when you click on the simulator, it'll open up this page, and you're just gonna watch this. And it tells you to take this template and look at compare permeabilities. And so you could kind of imagine this as asphalt, like on the road. This would be gravel. This would be dirt. This would be sand, and then this would be kind of like a loose permeability, kind of perhaps some clay. It just and it doesn't readily tell you those things here. It's just something that I know from doing it. So I'm gonna try to get off of here. Okay. I don't need to add anything. I was just kind of showing you what it looked like. So now we're just going to go ahead and hit play, and it's going to rain. And so what you're looking at is how easy is it for the water to go through these layers. And so what you can kind of see, right, is that water kind of sits on top of asphalt, and then that green is showing how it's evaporating. It takes its time going through the gravel. It more easily permeates through soil, sand, the kind of like the loose material here. And then, right, it kind of sits and creates groundwater. This also acts as a filter as well. So it'll keep raining the more you sit here and see, kind of what's happening. But you can see, right, this is how aquifers form, is underground water. So then we're going to go ahead and hit the back button, and we're going to change the template to the rural versus urban area. And I believe in your instructions, I think it just says the rural area is on the left and urban area is going to be on the right, and we're just going to hit play. and then we're going to play around with rain probability. So when we do that, right, so we've got rural area here, more urban area here, and you can kind of see that with the asphalt, right, because urban areas have a lot of roads, and so you've got a lot of asphalt in that area. So we're just going to go ahead and hit play. So you can already see, right, there's a thicker aquifer or groundwater area in the rural area, and a smaller one in the urban area. And you can see how the water is, right, flooding. Like you can imagine if a city's there, it's flooding because that water doesn't flow through the asphalt well. So the more you pave over things, the more likelihood you are to have floods in that area. And then as far as rain probability, right, we can kind of change it to like where there's less rain, you know, there's higher sun, or we can change it to where you have more rain. But this is just to kind of show you those visuals. Now, we're going to go back to our paper, right? There are questions to think about. You do not have to answer these questions. This is just something for you to kind of go through and think about to get you ready for your discussion post. So I am not expecting you to fill this out and submit it. Like that's not needed. It's just a simulation to show you differences, to help you understand, you know, what the water cycle is, and to prepare you to answer the questions that are in your discussion, which would be right here. So in your post, you're going to discuss how human activity can impact water, and you're going to use examples from your lab, the readings that you had this week, consider the impact on water in general and in your community. So like, right, like how do human activities like farming and driving and, you know, changing your oil in your driveway, you know, painting, putting out, you know, your trash at the end of the driveway and a big storm comes through and blows the trash cans over. You know, how do all these human activities impact water in your area? And then you're going to answer, you know, how are the Clean Water Act and the Safe Drinking Water Act regulating these human activities? So really look into the point source versus the non-point source pollution activity parts of those acts, and then talk about, you know, why do you believe the acts are necessary based on what you have learned and your experiences that you see in the lab, in the water lab. So definitely make sure that you are using specific examples to kind of support what you're saying. You don't just want to say, well, they're necessary to have clean water. So like, how do you know that? You know, what did you see in the lab and what did you learn about from those acts that merit having something that regulates clean water and makes it so that drinking water is safe? And then, of course, don't forget to cite any kind of references that you use, and make sure, you know, you can use that Scribber site that I mentioned earlier to help with it being in APA format. And then don't forget to do your response posts. And you're basically looking at your peer and seeing, you know, if they have the issue that your peer brought up has impact in your community. You know, do you agree with their thoughts about the Clean Water Act and the Safe Drinking Water Act? So this is a really good opportunity to kind of, you know, have a civil debate about these issues. If you have any questions, let me know. And I look forward to seeing you this week in the discussion.